Hi, my name is Julio Rivera. I'm an activist, journalist, adventurer, veteran, television presenter, and businessman. I've covered many of the major historical events going on around the world over the past several years, and after watching regime changes, conflict, and historic elections globally, I've come to the conclusion that the most underreported crisis in the world today can be defined in only one word: malware. That's why I've decided to dedicate my time to educating people everywhere and exposing the dangers that exist on the devices that we've become tethered to and depend on for so many reasons in our day-to-day life. Welcome to This Week in Malware. This week in Malware, we'll be covering Sodinokibi Ransomware, a ransomware as a service created by the same group behind the prolific GandCrab ransomware that has exploited vulnerabilities in servers and other critical assets of businesses. One state is taking the malware epidemic seriously, and we'll learn all about Maryland's efforts to criminalize the mere possession of malware, and Phobos ransomware, the encryption ransomware threat that came from the Dharma and Crisis ransomware families, is targeting computer users in Western Europe and the United States. Ransomware strains increase and decrease in popularity, but one type whose usage has been growing in frequency is the infamous Sodinokibi ransomware. Sodinokibi ransomware is a malware threat that has gained traction in cyber criminal circles and has taken the place of GandCrab ransomware after it was discontinued. The criminals that developed GandCrab offered it as a ransomware as a service and decided to retire it after allegedly raking in $2 billion in ransom payments. Ransomware as a service, or RAAS, is a type of software as a service or platform as a service where cybercriminals sell to other cybercriminals malware capable of launching ransomware attacks. This ransomware delivery model has taken ransomware attacks to a whole new level. Cybercriminals offer their ransomware as a service, from delivery to taking ransom payments, for hire as a service or via web platforms, typically for a portion of the ransom gains or a fixed fee. Sodinokibi ransomware appears to not only be following the same ransomware as a service path, but according to cybersecurity analysts, it may be distributed by the same group of people as GandCrab. Although Sodinokibi ransomware is not necessarily a direct continuation of GandCrab ransomware, there's evidence connecting the two ransomware threats together, such as coding and behavioral similarities. Sodinokibi ransomware was first detected in April of 2019 when it was used in an attack that exploited a zero-day Oracle WebLogic server vulnerability. The severity of the zero-day exploit couldn't be understated, as it allowed the remote execution of code without any of the otherwise required authentication credential. Oracle issued a patch on April 26th outside of their regular patch cycle to fix it. Through the exploit, the attackers were able to download the Sodinokibi ransomware payload to the endpoint machines without the need of any user input. Usually, ransomware threats require at least some interaction from victims before the infection can begin. Once inside, Sodinokibi ransomware starts encrypting files with the popular extensions that include .jpeg, .gif, .png, .xlsx, and many others. For each infected system, Sodinokibi ransomware generates a distinct alphanumeric string that can be between 5 and 9 characters long and appends it as a new extension to every successfully encrypted file. The ransomware then creates a text or HTA file with a ransom note in every folder containing encrypted files. Sodinokibi ransomware is particularly insidious in that this strain of ransomware also has the functionality to prevent users from restoring the encrypted files through the default Windows backup mechanisms. Getting access to your files. Instead of putting their instructions and demands in the body of the ransom note, the cybercriminals behind Sodinokibi ransomware direct all affected users towards two websites: a .onion site hosted on the TOR network and one on the public part of the internet at the domain decryptor.top. The full text of the note, which shows evidence that it was created by non-English speakers based on issues with grammar and spelling, reads in part, "Welcome again. What's happened? Your files are encrypted and currently unavailable. You can check it. All files on your computer has expansion. By the way, everything is possible to recover, restore, but you need to follow our instructions. Otherwise, you can't return your data. Never. If you will not cooperate with our service, for us, it does not matter. But you will lose your time and data because just we have the private key. In practice, time is much more valuable than money. In order to access either of the sites listed in the note, users have to input a specific key that can be found in the text file of the ransom note. Once the code has been entered, they will be taken to the following landing page that will display the specific extension ID code for the computer system and a countdown timer showing that in 2 days, the ransom sum will double in size from $2,500 to $5,000 payable in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency. The website recalculates the Bitcoin/USD rate every 3 hours and updates the shown numbers. Sodinokibi Ransomware expands its reach. Following the patch that shut down the Oracle WebLogic 0 day, researchers observed variations, an expansion of the methods employed to distribute the Sodinokibi ransomware. In fact, nearly all of the possible distribution methods have now been attempted, most notably spam email campaigns. When German users were targeted via spam email campaign that carried the Sodinokibi ransomware payload in compromised email attachments posing as urgent foreclosure notices. Another email campaign pretended to be a new booking from booking.com. In order to access the supposed booking information, users have to open the attached Word file and then allow the execution of macros. Doing so initiates the Sodinokibi ransomware infection. There are certain steps that could help all users build a strong defense against the Sodinokibi ransomware. One of the most reliable methods is to create a system backup that is stored on a drive that isn't connected to your network. By having access to such a backup, users can simply restore the files that have been taken hostage by the malware with minimal loss of data. In addition, using a legitimate anti-malware program and keeping it up to date could mean that some of the ransomware threats are stopped even before they've had the chance to execute their malicious code. Well, we all realize the havoc that malware can wreak on unsuspecting victims, but what is the government doing to punish hackers that possess the code needed to create new victims? Maryland looks to criminalize ransomware possession. The state of Maryland is considering criminalizing the possession of ransomware. A bill introduced in January of 2020 would penalize Marylanders who knowingly possess this type of malware and intend to use it for criminal purposes. The bill also allows ransomware victims to sue hackers for damages in civil court. Maryland has already outlawed the use of technology considered to be malicious to extort money out of victims. Senate Bill 30, as it's known, would make it a misdemeanor to be in possession of ransomware with the intent to use it in a malicious manner. Any person convicted under this new law could face up to 10 years in prison and/or a fine up to $10,000. The proposed law would not apply to cybersecurity researchers or white hat hackers who may be in possession of ransomware for research purposes. State Senator Susan Lee, who is the lead sponsor of the legislation, said that it gives prosecutors tools to charge offenders. Lee also added that it was important to establish the bill so criminals know it's a crime. In January of 2019, the Salisbury, Maryland Police Department was thrown into disarray, victimized by a ransomware attack that prevented officers from accessing parts of the department's computer network. 4 months later, Baltimore, Maryland was hit by another ransomware attack that is said to have cost the city as much as $18 million. Possessing ransomware is already a crime in several US states, including Michigan and California. The fight against ransomware was initially started by Wyoming, which in 2014 became the first state to criminalize the possession of ransomware, spyware, adware, keyloggers, and several other types of malicious software. The proposed Maryland bill is important as malware-based crime spirals out of control nationally. In 2019, ransomware and malware impacted at least 113 state and municipal governments and agencies, 764 healthcare providers, 89 universities, colleges, and school districts, with the cost of these attacks said to be in the range of $7.5 billion. The state of Maryland is beginning to take positive steps to remedy the malware epidemic, and that's a very good thing, especially considering the fact that multiple strains of malware continue to victimize users across not only the US, but the world. Phobos ransomware, targeting computer users in Western Europe and the United States. Phobos ransomware is an encryption ransomware threat that was first observed on October 21, 2017. While Phobos ransomware technically emerged after the infamous Dharma and Crisis ransomware families, it reuses significant chunks of their code. Phobos ransomware has been used to target computer users in Western Europe and the United States and delivers its ransom messages in English to the victims. One of the methods in which Phobos ransomware is being distributed is through the use of spam email attachments, which may appear as Microsoft Word documents that have enabled macros. These macro scripts are designed to download and install the Phobos ransomware onto the victim's computer when the malicious file is accessed. Although most initial reported instances of Phobos ransomware were traced to email links and attachments, there has been a pronounced shift towards exploiting exposed remote desktop protocols. Employing the use of scanners, hackers search for computers and networks running unsecured RDP connections. This allows them to escalate their privileges, collect user login credentials, gain lateral access inside the compromised network before delivering the ransomware payload. Like most other similar threats, Phobos ransomware works by encrypting the victim's files using a strong encryption algorithm. The encryption makes the files inaccessible, allowing Phobos ransomware to take the victim's data hostage until the victim pays a ransom. Phobos ransomware will target the user-generated files, which may include files with the following extensions: .mp3, .mp4, .xls, .xlsx, .zip, .jpeg, and many others. In late 2018, a prolific cybercrime gang behind a series of ransomware attacks was distributing a new form of Phobos ransomware that combined two well-known and successful variants in a series of attacks against businesses around the world. The demand is made in a ransom note, and aside from anonymous Phobos logo being added to the ransom note, it's basically the same note used by its predecessor, Dharma ransomware. The note in part reads, "All your files have been encrypted. All your files have been encrypted due to a security problem with your PC. If you want to restore them, write to us at the email fileb@protonmail.com. Write this ID in the title of your message. You have to pay for decryption in Bitcoins. The price depends on how fast you write to us. After payment, we will send you your decryption tool that will decrypt all of your files." While the vast majority of ransomware threats out there rely on spam email campaigns to reach targeted PCs, Phobos ransomware has brought about a marked shift towards exploiting exposed remote desktop protocols instead. By using readily available scanners, the cyber crooks in charge scour entire networks for unsecured active RDP connections, then retrieve the necessary login credentials by way of a brute force attack before planting the ransomware payload. Dharma ransomware did this, and so does Phobos ransomware. This infection method is currently enjoying great popularity for two main reasons. First, millions of RDP connections remain unprotected to this day despite the tremendous efforts made by security companies worldwide to raise awareness about the underlying risks. Second, the dark web provides abundant opportunities for hackers willing to lay their hands on thousands of stolen remote access credentials. One of the dark marketplaces offering such data, XDDIC, shuttered on January 24, 2019 after an international joint operation involving law enforcement agencies from the US, Germany, Belgium, and Ukraine seized its domains and servers. Contrary to other malware strains, Phobos ransomware does not bypass Windows users' account control feature. That is why the UAC pop-up will come up asking for permission to allow the following program from an unknown publisher to make changes to this computer. Should the targeted PC user select yes, Windows will no longer be able to prevent the program or process from running. Instead, Phobos ransomware will launch with elevated privileges and will install itself in the system's app data folder. Last but not least, Phobos ransomware will modify the targeted machine's registry settings in order to launch during system startup. Data loss mitigation. As far as recovering your data after an outbreak of Phobos ransomware, according to research from data security consultants Coveware, while the total data recovery rate is about 85%, there are also instances of no decryption tool being delivered after payment. The data success rate, when a decryptor is delivered, is relatively high despite the logistical complexity of receiving decryption keys and running the decryption tool. So as you can see, even if you pay the hackers, there is no guarantee you will be able to recover your files after infection. In other words, the only way to guarantee you won't lose your data is to prevent the initial infection. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode, and to stay on top of malware news, make sure to catch This Week in Malware. You know, as I think about the dangers that exist online, not unlike the subjects we learned about in this week's show, I know I feel a lot better having an anti-malware program like Spy Hunter installed in my PC. It provides me the protection I need against malware, and I think you should too. Spy Hunter 5's strongest features are found in its malware repair capabilities. Spy Hunter 5's remediation algorithms dive deep into your system to remove and address complex malware issues affecting PCs today. While many anti-malware products only flag and quarantine malware and ultimately fail to remediate the root problem, the Spy Hunter 5 remediation algorithm detects, quarantines, and programmatically repairs malware problems on your PC. Spy Hunter 5 is a powerful PC utility that repairs malware threats in many cases where other competing anti-malware and antivirus programs may fail. To detect and remove malware for free, go to enigmasoftware.com and download Spy Hunter today. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay up to date on all emerging threats, make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page and hit the bell icon to receive alerts whenever new content is posted.